Hey, Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom, man. Hey, we are the hopeful elect. First and foremost, want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, and we do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes that scattered abroad around the four corners of the earth. Also, shout out to the sister Miriam Bethany that anointed our King Yahweh Shai with the precious ointments before his burial. Also, shout out to our ancestors that was killed behind keeping our laws, statutes, and commandments throughout history, man. So all praises to them, or shout out to them. But yeah, like I said, we are the hopeful elect. Got the brother Azrael, got the brother Isaiah, you got the brother Denal. We're coming at you with a Wisdom Wednesday, man. You know, it's Wednesday, so we're coming at you with a video. And it's called Why Did Slavery Happen? Because I think this was a few years back when everybody was on Kanye West's head, when he was like, slavery was a choice. And I'm not sure if he knew, like, I'm not sure if he read the Bible to say that or he was just talking, but you had a lot of people, you know, on Kanye head, like, what you talk about slavery was a choice. We didn't have no choice to come over here. We was brought over here forcefully. So what is he talking about slavery is a choice? He's crazy. And I also seen the video, which I'm gonna play, which one of the brothers gonna play in a minute, of a sister, you know, questioning. I think she said her uncle told her that the reason why we went in slavery is because we disobeyed God, and she put her 2 cents in on what she think about it, and we're gonna put our cents in, responding to what she's saying, man. So that's what we're gonna get into real quick. But before we get into it, the brother gonna play the shofar, man. We're gonna get the class started.
Come on, man. We got that shofar for y'all, man. This time we got the shofar THE version.
THE version. All praise, man. Hey, all praise to the Most High, man. All praise to the Most High. So that'd be a lot of people question when you talking to somebody about the Bible and they say they don't believe in the Bible. They always bring up, well, God, why would God allow slavery to happen? Right? He just sitting up there while we going through slavery. Like, what type of God is that? What type of God would allow us to get our backs whooped? What type of God would allow us to go on slave ships to a land that we don't know and be sold like cattle? Why would I want to serve a God like that? That's what a lot of people would say, man. We're gonna touch on what happened. But you can play that video, King.
People said slavery happened because Black people turned their backs on God. How do I respond to that? Say, how can I believe in that silver back in the sky if he's down up there watching us suffer? He watched slavery happen. He watches grape happen. I've had things happen to me, and I just can't believe that somebody that has all of these powers, all seeing eye, bitch ass motherfucker up there watching it happen and not doing.
It's lucky for the language.
Yeah, excuse the language, man.
And I'm supposed to want to be in his kingdom. I want to access to his kingdom. No, thank you. Die. I told you, me and Lucy, who was like, fuck this shit, God. I don't.
It's lucky for the language.
Fuck with
that
you.
is crazy.
Coming. I'm ready to see whatever creatures he got, because me and Dracula, we like this. And I was kind of like this with the creatures, with whatever ones he released on them people on motherfucking Wisteria Lane. Anyway, his answer was that Black people turned their back on God, so this is God's punishment. How am I supposed to ever take any of you motherfuckers serious?
Right. So, yeah, like the brother said, I forgot to say excuse the language before it started, man. But yeah, I didn't know how to. I wish I knew how to bleep out what she said, what she was saying. But I think it's a video that need to be touched on because there's a lot of people that think the same way she did. I actually seen a couple more videos when I was on IG of different people saying the same thing she was saying about, you know, why would God allow slavery to happen? And, you know, it just comes from a lot of people that haven't read the Bible. Like it just comes from people that have never read the Bible. If we were to ask her has she read the Bible, she probably would say no. If we asked the other brothers that said the same thing, she said, the Bible contradicts itself, or you know what I'm saying? All type of stuff like that. Why would God allow this slavery to happen? Have you read the Bible? I have never read it. Why would I want to pick it up? So it just comes from a lot of people that haven't read the Bible. But I just want to. I'm gonna explain. Well, we gonna try to explain our best on why God allowed slavery to happen. It's a reason on why God allowed His people, right, so-called African Americans, right, the so-called Hispanics and Native Indians. It's a reason why He allowed us to go through the things that we went through and what we're going through as a people. So, King, can you give me Exodus? The first scripture we're gonna get is Exodus chapter 24 and verse 1 through 8.
Come on, man. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 24, and verse 1 through 8. Salakia. And he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. Verse 2. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh. People go up with him. Verse 3. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words of which the Lord hath said will we do.
So hello. What did they say? What they said in verse 3 again?
All the words which the Lord hath said will we do.
Okay, so everybody keep that in mind. Our forefathers and foremothers, they said all the words which the Lord hath said we will do. We keep going, King.
God. Verse 4. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord and rose up early in the morning and builded an altar unto the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Verse 5. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Verse 8. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that the Lord hath said we will do, and be obedient.
So our people said again, and Moses took the book of the covenant, right, and he read it in the audience to the people. So so they can't say they didn't know. He read it to them, and after he read it, they said, all that the Lord said we would do and be obedient. So what the sister don't understand that made that video, man, and like a lot of our people don't understand is you are in a covenant. You are in a covenant with the Most High God. Your ancestors, before you was even born, way before you was even born, made a covenant with God that was going to obey His commandments. But she don't know that, and a lot of our people don't know that because they haven't read the Bible. If our people just sit down and read the Bible, all the answers that you got in life, while we going through certain things in life, it'll be answered by the Bible. If you want to know who you are, you trying to figure out, your identity, just go to the Bible. You want to know more about history and history and how we came about, go back and read the Bible. So our ancestors made a covenant with God. So King, can you give me
you want to get that in verse 8? I know you said 1 through 8.
Oh yeah, my bad. Go ahead, my bad.
Verse 8. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words.
Right. So when he sprinkled that blood, we have entered that covenant that we made with our Heavenly Father, man. So, can you give me Exodus chapter 34 and verse 27 through 28? So this is a nation. He made a covenant with the nation of Israel, right? Which are us, and we know that throughout reading the Bible. So he made a covenant with our children. This is a covenant that was passed down not just by them. They made the covenant with God, but it was passed down through generation to generation. This is an everlasting covenant, in the agreement.
You said Exodus 27 and what?
Exodus 34 and verse 27 through 28.
It's the book of Exodus chapter 34, starting at verse number 27, and it reads, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Write thou these words, for after the tenor of these words I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments."
Right. So, Moses was getting orders. He was getting the commandments from the Most High God. But, the Lord told Moses, I made a covenant with you and with Israel. So this is a everlasting covenant. And I'm gonna get one more scripture to show that we in a covenant with the Most High, because people don't understand how serious this is, because it comes with blessings and it also comes with consequences if you don't keep the covenant. Just like with anything else, you have these celebrities, right? They sign these deals in blood a lot of times, and these rappers, and they got to do what that contract say. And if they don't do what that contract say, or they try to go against that contract that they signed in blood, it be consequences. We know how it go. You gotta sacrifice somebody. You got to do some type of homosexual act. You got to do some type of ritual, because you disobeyed that covenant, that agreement that you signed in blood. It's the same thing with us in the Most High, right? They just do it on the left hand side, man. Hollywood, they do it on the left hand side, but it's the same thing with us in the Most High. We made a covenant with our God in blood when He sprinkled the blood on us. If we kept the covenant and did what our God said, I'm gonna show you in a minute in Deuteronomy 28 what would happen. But it's a flip side of the coin. If we disobeyed that covenant, we would go through the curses and be punished because we broke that covenant or that agreement with our God. Can I get Deuteronomy 5 and 1 through 2?
This is Deuteronomy chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, "And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep and do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb."
It keep going into like how the Most High made a covenant with us, right? And even people know about the old covenant. People also know about the new covenant. The covenant still stands. So, let me show you this verse real quick, right? Because, like I said, a lot of people may be like, "What did we do so bad, though?" Like, I feel like and just me talking to some people in the world. Now they'd be like, "Man, like, there's no way me being a father could punish my child and allow them to go through so much like pain and stuff." They try to put themselves in the Most High shoes and say, I couldn't do that with my child." Or they may be like, "Our people play the innocent role of, well, what did we do wrong? We didn't do nothing wrong. Why did God put us in? We didn't do nothing wrong." Meanwhile, they eating a pork sandwich while they saying that, or they got a cigarette in their hand. So our people don't realize that even to this day in 2025, we are still breaking that covenant. This is why we getting punished, because we still breaking that covenant that we made with our God. So let me just get a couple scriptures just to show some things that we did as Israelites, man, because we all, and when you just read the Bible, man, all throughout the Bible, in the Torah, when you read about the First Kings, Second Kings, First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, all the wicked kings that we had more wicked kings than we had kings that was trying to serve the Lord. It was a time in the scripture you had Israel fighting against going to war with Israel, right? When was it the Benjamites going to war with the rest of Israel throughout the history? So it's like, bro, we are the covenant people, we're the chosen people, but throughout history, man, we was never, as a nation of people, we was wicked, man. I'm gonna keep it honest. As a nation, I'm not saying all of us, but we get judged as a nation of people, though. So as a whole nation, we wicked, man. Now let me get this scripture. Ezekiel chapter 22 and verse 6 through 15. Especially when you read Ezekiel, Isaiah and Jeremiah, when you going into the prophets, when they prophesying, and it's just like, man, you just see they telling you the stuff that Israel doing. It's like, man, this is why God mad. This is why God is punishing us. He gotta punish us because we doing all this wickedness, man, and all type of crazy stuff.
What verse to start at?
You can start at verse 6 and read to 15.
Come. Ezekiel chapter 22 and verse 6. Behold, the princes of Israel, every one wear in thee to the power to shed blood.
So you had the princes of Israel, they shedding blood, man. They supposed to be the upright men, but they trying to go and try to shed blood, man. They looking for blood, like these YNs. They had that YN spirit. Like today time, you see these YNs, they looking for some trouble. They going around with the ski mask on, they ready for somebody to try them. They got the blicky, they ready to pull it out and blast somebody. That's the type of spirit these princes had, in Israel. But you keep going, King.
Verse 7. In thee have they set light by father and mother. In the midst of thee have they dealt by oppression with the stranger. In thee have they vexed the fatherless and the widow.
So they were doing things that was against the law. Because when you go into the law, you will see that you're not supposed to oppress the stranger and not vex the fatherless and widows. You're actually supposed to look out for the fatherless and the widows. But you had our people that what they was doing, they breaking the covenant. They breaking the commandments that they made with their God. And they doing all type of folly and madness. You keep going, King.
Verse 8. Thou hast despised mine holy things and have profaned my Sabbaths.
So it say they despise my holy things and profane my Sabbaths, man. So the things that was holy, the things that was in the temple, right? They was defiling those. They despised those things. We don't know what they was doing with those things. And it said they profane the Sabbath. Just like today, a lot of people they work on the Sabbath. A lot of people do what they want. They do what they want to do on the Sabbath. So the covenant that the Most High made with us, in Exodus 20 and 8, the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You had Israel back then that was breaking it, that wasn't keeping it. You keep going, King.
Verse 9. And thee are men that carry tables to shed blood, and in thee they eat upon the mountains. In the midst of thee they commit lewdness. Verse 10. In thee have they discovered their father's nakedness. In thee have they humbled her that was set apart for pollution.
So they was into all type of. It's nothing new under the sun. We see this stuff in today's time, into all type of lewd lust and wickedness and adultery, all type of homosexuality things, all these type of things that's going on, man. That's what was going on. And remember what we just read in the beginning of the video. Our ancestors said, whatever the Lord God tell us to do, we will do it. And we will basically be obedient to the covenant. But they going against our ancestors going against the covenant. They doing all type of wickedness. Keep going. You can keep going, King.
Verse 11. And one hath committed abomination with his neighbor's wife, and another hath lewdly defiled his daughter-in-law. And another in thee hath humbled his sister, his father's daughter.
Right, so you got a dope man. This is why we in this situation. Go ahead, Denal.
I was gonna say, simple people in today's time, they make excuses for things like that. But you see the same stuff like that happen in today's time. When people, what does it say? Of course, sleeping with your neighbor's wife. That's prevalent. Um, lewdly defiling one's daughter-in-law. People make excuses like we're not technically related, right? And then you got other people that may humble their sister that his father's daughter is probably like a stepsister or a half sister, and they go into technicalities about and ultimately let their lust overtake them. You know what I'm saying? So the same things that was happening back then, we doing even to today and making excuses for it, and then wondering why bad things happen in our lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. All this stuff now, all this stuff that we going through right now is happening because we broke that covenant that we made with our God. We turned that back on him. He didn't just I ain't gonna say wake up, but he didn't just come like he didn't just one day think, man, I'm tired of looking at these Israelites. Let me put them in slavery. No, it's a build up to when that happened. Because, like I said earlier, in Hollywood, when you break a contract or covenant that you made with them Jewish people, they're gonna punish you. So we broke that covenant that we made with our Heavenly Father. We see the things that our ancestors was doing. This was happening way back then, and these things that we're reading about that they was doing are still happening to this day on a high level, on a high scale. You can keep going, King.
Verse 12. In thee have they taken gifts to shed blood. Thou hast taken usury and increase, and thou hast greedily gained of thy neighbors by extortion, and hast forgotten me, saith the Lord God.
And that's why I said we forgot the Most High God. You had the people that was supposed to be upright, the men that was supposed to be fair and judging, right? The prophets that were supposed to be prophesying. They taking gifts to shed blood. They acting like, excuse my language, acting like niggas in the world. And you have that going on. You have a lot of men like that in the truth. They act like Negroes in the world, and they start taking bribes. They start looking at their brother wife at the feast day, right? They start getting into all type of lewdful lust and start idolizing all these guys behind the scene. They do these things, man. You can keep going, King.
Verse 13. Behold, therefore I have spent mine hand at the dishonest gain which thou hast made, and at thy blood which thou hast been in the midst of thee. Verse 14. Can thine heart endure, or can thine hands be strong in the days that I shall deal with thee? I, the Lord, have spoken it and will do it. Verse 15. And I will scatter thee among the heathen, and disperse thee in the countries, and will consume thy filthiness out of thee.
So when he said, I will scatter thee among the heathen and disperse thee in the countries, that's part of the transatlantic slave, what we know as the transatlantic slave trade. When we came over here on slave ships and we were scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. So going back to that sister question on, well, why would God allow that to happen? It's because we broke the covenant. Part of it, and I don't want to jump the gun, but part of the agreement or the disagreement, or part of the agreement and disagreement, if you disobey the commandment or disobey the covenant, you will have to go through slavery. Right? That's gonna be part of the punishment. And our people knew that. It ain't like they didn't know. Because remember when Moses was reading it to them, they were like, okay, we get it. We gonna do it. So they knew what to do and what not to do. They knew the consequences that was gonna come behind them breaking the commandments or breaking that agreement that they made with their God. They knew that, but they just chose to do wickedness.
Yeah,
they didn't care.
Salakia too, man. Salakia. And so really the sentiment should be not to say who is this God and F God. You should that pain that you feeling, that anger that you feeling, it really should be towards your ancestors. They're the ones that made the agreement. Like you now, if you was back in the day, you might have been like, hold up, I want to make an adjustment to this contract. But you wasn't there. Your ancestors were, and they bound themselves and their children and their children, as it goes on, they bound themselves to the covenant. And they were the ones that also went off. So you don't got to be mad at God. God playing fair, right? Because if we would have listened, God would have blessed us. You wouldn't have no problem with God, right? But it falls back on your ancestors. So don't be mad at God. Don't think God is evil and all of that. Your ancestors was evil. Your ancestors was bad. You got to say, why did my ancestors do that? That's who you need to be mad at. And you need to try to get back in God's good graces. That's the mindset you should have, not F God and I'm going to the other team now. That's madness.
But it's another thing too, man, because a lot of people that be doing that just really lack common sense because they want to say it's a slight to God for us to go through slavery, and they want to blame the Most High God for that, right? But my question is that y'all saying because of what he wasn't doing for us when we were going through that, you're gonna go serve another God or other things. But where were those things when we were going through that? Where were those other gods when we was going through that, right? Like, how can you just say, oh, well, I can't serve a man who would just let us go through this, yet go serve other things that was around at the same time that we was going through it and didn't do nothing to get us out of that situation either.
Exactly.
And that's people lack common sense to understand that, like the brothers going into. Yes, it's a covenant, it's a contract. And when you break the contract, you subject to the punishments thereof, regardless of how, I guess you could say, harsh they may seem, because like the brother just said, it's our ancestors who bound themselves to it and who made an oath and said that they would do everything that was written therein. All the words that the Lord spake unto us that we should do, we would do, right? So it just doesn't make sense, man. If you somebody that's kind of mad at God for us going through slavery, or you mad at God for things that's going on in the world, sometimes you got to kind of look around and say, well, why would I be mad at this God in particular when there's a lot of other gods that wasn't doing nothing either, you know?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about it like that. And I'm pretty sure that sister didn't think about it like that either, because she was just thinking of emotion. That's a good point, man. She's saying, she's so mad at God because he allowed slavery to happen, but she's saying she finna go and serve Lucifer. She said
Right.
Lucifer.
And one more point, my bad, Salakia, but
Go ahead.
I just think about it like this, man, because a lot of those people be like, oh, well, I worship and serve the universe. But I'm saying, so you want to worship and serve a universe that would allow a certain people to go through this too? Like, come on, man. Like, the logic doesn't apply all the way around. It's biased and it's unfair because people's real gripe is with I can't even say what they real gripe is because I'm not them, because I don't have that same issue. But what I will say is that, like the brother Azrael did say, again, their anger is very misplaced. And sometimes when you're angry, you just lack common sense and the ability to think about the situation in its entirety, right? These other gods, Dracula, all them characters and cartoons and all this stuff, people worshiping and serving, all that stuff was around when we was going through what we was going through as a people. Even until today's time, all the wickedness in the earth, all these things are going on, but people only want to blame one person. And to me, that's kind of like bittersweet. That's kind of like what confirms in my mind, in my spirit, that our God is true, because people have to blame somebody. And the second thing is, it just kind of makes me think like, man, y'all really have to be an unwise people to just think that, it's God's fault in all this, right? But kind of you.
Yeah, man. Hey, it was never God's fault. It was our fault, man, because our ancestors, right? They broke the covenant, the agreement that they made with their God. Like the brother like the brother Azrael said, you want to be mad at somebody. If you want to be like, man, bro, dang, it should be our ancestors, and we should read about what they did in the scriptures and learn from them, and not do the same thing they did, because obviously what they was doing, it got on God's bad side, and this is why we in this situation now. So we got to figure the sister in the video, her whole mindset should be like trying to figure out why did this happen, instead of being so quickly to blame God. really be like, why did this happen? And when you realize why it happened, how can I get out this situation? That should be the how to get out this situation.
Yeah, Salakia, like when Joshua was going through parts of Africa, man, and taking random countries and destroying random countries at random, them random countries and people and nations, they can kind of talk like you know what I'm saying? Because they're like, man, who is this God of Israel? Why he taking all of us out? Why are they stealing our land? We ain't do nothing to them. We ain't make no covenant with them. They just doing this out of nowhere. They might be able to say that, you know what I'm saying? But for us, it's not like that. It wasn't no random act to us. It wasn't something that we didn't foresee happening as a nation. You're looking from your point of view because you're born today and you've been brought up in America. So you looking at a lens that is highly deceptive, right? But when you go back to family and when you go back to the roots of family, you understand it just wasn't on a whim. Like, you might have a point if God just put it, if there was a higher being that just put us through slavery just cause, right, and had no rhyme or reason, and then claimed to love us, I might be like, I might say like, you might make some good points, but that wasn't the case. He loves us, so he wants us to do right, and if we don't do right, he punishes us. That's our relationship with our Father, right? It's not a pointless relationship. It's not a what's the word for it? It's not a dang, the word is escaping my head, but it's not a pointless relationship, right? It's not random, right? We actually have a covenant like the brother's going into.
Yeah, man. If a lot of us look back, if we was able to go back, man, and just go back and just see like our ancestors that we was really connected to that made that covenant, a lot of people probably be related to those people that was worshiping Baal, man, and these prophets, these false prophets and things like that. So it's like we asking why God allowing us to go through this, why we going through all these things, and if people was able to realize what their ancestors, because a lot of people love to worship their ancestors. I pray to my ancestors, but if you were able to go back and see what your ancestors was doing, you'll be like, hold up, like nah. You know what I'm saying? You will see why we in this situation, because they were doing stuff the complete opposite way that God told us to do. So yeah, King, can you give me Ezekiel chapter 23 and verse 36 through 39? Oh, you go ahead, King.
I was gonna say them spirits, man, like that too. That stuff be bothering me too, because I know that people be saying, we pray to our ancestors, but I'd be like, man, your ancestors didn't even have the power to deliver themselves out of their own situation. So why you think that they got the power to do the same for you? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But again, that's just something that people don't think about.
And it's so crazy because it's like, bro, what ancestor are you praying to? And it's like your ancestor that you like. He could have been a pedophile. She could have been it's like, bro, you don't even know what ancestor you praying to. All our ancestors wasn't righteous. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them was wicked. So you praying to the ancestors, like, who are you praying to though? You got to have a specific ancestor? Because if you praying to all of them, it's not a good choice to pray to all of them after knowing what they done did. A lot of them done did. Why not just pray to the Most High God that created them, that created the universe? Why worship the universe instead of worshiping the creator of the universe? So it's like people just trying to find something to worship instead of worshiping the God of the Bible as a cop-out. They don't want to be obedient to the Bible. They don't want to keep the commandments of God, so they try to go to an easier God that don't have no rules and they can do what they want to do. They can dress how they want to dress. They can speak how they want to speak, eat what they want to eat. They feel like the God of the Bible is too hard and he come with too many rules, so they want to serve something else besides him and come up with all these different excuses on why they do it. And this is why we're in this situation. See, this is so deep. I ain't gonna say it's deep, but brothers and sisters that read the Bible, and really read the Bible and know who we are. And we watched that sister video that we just watched on, saying how her speaking ignorant and things like that. Cause she just don't know. But we looking at her like, sis, you one of the reasons why we in this situation right now. Like how you talking right now, that's how a lot of our people talk, and it was acting back then. So we looking at it like she wondering why God allowed us to go in this situation, why God allowed us to go in this situation. And we looking at her and like, sis, you part of the reason why we going through this situation right now. Because you trying to serve other guys. You talking about you serving Lucy and you trying to get down with Dracula and you calling the Most High all these different type of names. So we looking at like you're part of the reason why we going through this because you're being disobedient to the covenant.
The funny part about it is, man, is that our people really have control issues, man, right? And they want to be able to control the narrative of the life that we live in. So even when you tell a sister like that, we probably going through this because us as Black people disobey God. That might not even be. She might not even disagree with that notion, like, but just because it doesn't sit well with her, just because she thinks that shouldn't be the case, she's gonna choose otherwise instead of submitting to what reality is, right? Instead of submitting to because once you find that out, it's like, okay, and that's why we say, man, you want to know what's going on, read the Bible. Now, when you read it, you might not like what you read, but that's what it is. And so, like, again, so it's like when you hear those things, it's like, bro, you got to submit to it. If not, you choosing destruction. But at the end of the day, to the sister, if somebody told you that, right, and you just didn't like the reasoning or you didn't like the sound of it, but you didn't necessarily think that couldn't be the case, right? It's just rebellion at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because a smart person would hear that and be like, huh, dang, man, that is a good point. Although me personally, I think that's not fair. It would behoove me if I were to get in line and to become obedient again because I'm not in control of anything that's going on. Obviously, there's a higher power that's controlling what we go through. So you submit to the higher power. You don't get mad at it and choose the other side. That's just going to make things worse.
Yeah, man, I remember my granddad asked me that a while back. We had a discussion like a while back. And I would tell him, like, man, the reason why we're going through, I think he had asked me. And I was telling him, yeah, man, the reason why we're going through this situation is because we broke the covenant that we made with our God. And he like, so we went through slavery and all that. But he was looking at it on the level of how the white man came over and brought us over here. But I was telling him on a deeper level of why the white man was even able to conquer us because we broke the covenant. But he was looking at it he was like, no, that ain't the reason why. He said that ain't the reason why we went through slavery. The reason why we went through slavery because we don't stick together, right? He was able to conquer us because we had all these different tribes in Africa and we didn't stick together, and he was able to come and get us. And I'm like, nah, the reason why we going through this is it goes even beyond that. Go back in time to when we made a covenant with our God, and I had showed it to him. He was like, so you think why would he say, why would I want to serve a God like that? He was like, you think you think I do that to my daughter? Like if my daughter, do something that I dislike, you think I would do something like that to her? I mean, that's that, and that's how a lot of our people think, man. But because they really just don't understand because we first of all, it's the Most High at the end of the day, and He told us these things were going to happen. And it's like, what other way can the Most High God punish us? Because He gonna take our phones from us? Like our people always say slavery was a harsh punishment, or slavery was a harsh punishment, but it's like, what else? How else do you want the Most High to punish us for us to listen? All throughout history, He sent nations to put us into slavery because that's how He used these other nations to be the built our behind. He sent them to us to punish us. So people always be like, well, He didn't have to allow us to go through slavery. He could have did something else. Like what's enough? What else do you want the God of the universe to do to make us listen?
A lot of times he tries things before he gets to full on slavery though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Pestilence, famine, all of this stuff. diseases, whatever. And then, you know, none of that stuff seems to phase us.
Right.
You know
They do the same thing over after that. Our people did the same. Our people did the same thing. The Most High God will. The Most High God, man. This is what and it make me. I don't get upset, man, because I just hate that people like to. They bash the Most High without knowing what we was doing. Like, they don't understand the Lord's mercy. Yeah, the Most High allowed us to go through slavery, but they don't understand how many times the Most High God forgave us. And he gave us time. He had compassion for us. Like the brother Donald said, before he even allowed slavery, it was steps to this thing. And even then, after slavery, our people still ain't listening. So people be like, slavery was a harsh punishment. What? I would like to ask somebody this. What punishment you think God could have done or he could do to us to make us listen besides slavery? What else? What could he do to make us really get in line? Because I feel like slavery,
gentle parenting. He could have just sat us down and had a conversation with us, and then asked if we was okay, and then send us back upon our way.
Man, listen.
Newsflash, buddy. He did that. He had Moses sit down and give us the, you know what I'm saying, give us the law, and it was in a gentle parent type of way, man, letting us know, like, hey, look, if we do right, we'll get this, but if we do wrong, boy, we're gonna be here all night long. And that's the problem, you know. Even, but I was gonna say, Obadiah, before you finish, to the point of what punishment do you think like would have been sufficient, right? There's always going to be a punishment that seems harsh to somebody, right? So, like, this is what I mean by that. Our children, we may, like, for instance, man, a few minutes ago, my children, they was out running around before we got on the lesson. My wife had made some cookies, right? And my son was in the kitchen. He put his hand in one of the cookies and they fresh out the oven, so it burnt his finger. As a punishment, instead of whooping them, right? Instead of whooping him for doing what he wasn't supposed to be doing, I just told him to go to their room. Now, he thinks that's harsh, right? But in my mind, as a parent, that's something simple. That's something light. But that's to say that even children, when it comes to parenting, us as parents, we may give our children light punishments, right? We don't, you know what I'm saying? We don't choose to physically discipline them. We might just say, hey, go to your room, or go in the corner, stand in the corner, you know what I'm saying? Or no, you can't get this now, right? And they may think that's the harshest thing in the world, right? So there's never going to be enough. It's never going to be good enough for our people to say what was really sufficient, because everything to some capacity or to some of everybody would have been too harsh, you know, too hot to handle.
Yeah. And the Most High so merciful, he was finna cut us off. He was finna make a new nation after Moses. But then, you know, he had compassion. Moses talking to him, he had compassion and mercy. But he could have did that. He could have cut us off. It wouldn't have been no Israelites, no nation of Israel. We would have been probably named after Moses, the Mosebites. The Mosebites. Who knows? But that just shows the Most High God mercy, man. But our people just want to do it. It's just simple. Our people don't like correction and being told what to do. They just want to do what they want to do. So when God punished them, they get mad because they can't do what they want to do. They want to be like these other nations that get to do what they want to do, man. That's why Israel wanted a king. They seen it. They seen the other nations with a king. Oh yeah, we want a king too. So we look at these other nations and how they living and how they ain't getting punished right away, and we want to be like that, but we can't be like that because he loves us and he punishes us for our iniquities because we know better. We his children. He love us. Con. So can you give me
Ezekiel 23?
Did you read that yet? Oh, yes, sorry.
No, we ain't read it yet. This is Ezekiel 23, starting at verse number 36. And it reads, the Lord said, moreover unto me, son of man, wilt thou judge Aholah and Aholibah? Yea, declare unto them their abominations, that they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands, and with their idols have they committed adultery, and have also caused their sons, whom they bear unto me, to pass for them through the fire to devour them. Moreover, this they have. Verse 38. Moreover, this they have done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day, and have profaned my Sabbaths.
Right. So
go ahead. Salakia.
Oh, my bad.
You
I said
said,
stop at 39. You go ahead, King.
okay, verse 39, right? For when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And lo, thus have they done in the midst of mine house.
Right. So when you read about Ahola and Aholabah, Ahola was just he was calling that Samaria, and Aholabah was supposed to be known as Jerusalem. He was using just an example of how two daughters was going into whoredom. So when you just read about the things that our people was doing, because you know a lot of our people, a lot of Northern Kingdom was in Samaria, and they was taken by the Assyrians, right? So it said a lot of our people, the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, they was into idolatry. I mean adultery, which is against the our commandments. They was shedding blood, innocent blood. That was getting into idolatry. They was into child sacrifice. They was allowing their child to go through the fire, meaning they was allowing their child to get put. Just say it might have been an idol in front of them, and they was putting it. They were throwing their child in the fire to honor that idol. Our people was doing child sacrifice. It said for they was. It said, and it said they defiled my sanctuary. In the same day and have. Okay, say, moreover, this they have done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary. So our people was defiling the sanctuary in the same day, and they was doing all. Let's imagine all of this stuff they was doing on all this in one day, and saying they profaned my Sabbaths. You had Israel not keeping the Sabbath no more, or making excuses not to keep the Sabbath no more. They was not keeping the feast day. They were profaning the holy days, meaning the days that we supposed to celebrate the high holy days. Israel, they was forgetting about that and probably worshiping idols on that day, or you know what I'm saying, doing all type of madness. But we wasn't keeping the covenant that we were supposed to keep with our God, because breaking the Sabbath day is a sin. Adultery is a sin. Shedding innocent blood is a sin. Idolatry is a sin. Child sacrifice, you sacrificing, killing your child, is a sin. So our people was not upholding that covenant that they made with their God. They was doing whatever they want to do. It said, for when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into the sanctuary to profane it. So these people that were supposed to be probably holy, set apart, they were sacrificing their child to an idol, and then after they sacrificed their child to an idol, they would go into the sanctuary to profane that after they just killed their child. And people wondering why God mad. People wondering why are we getting punished? Because our people, which are the Israelites, were doing all type of folly, doing all this to the Most High God. It ain't nothing new. This is not our first captivity. America is not our first captivity. Israel is very familiar with captivities because every time our people be disobedient, we get sent in captivity because of our disobedience and our doings. That's what I'm saying. A lot of our people try to even today. A lot of our people in today's time will try to blame these other nations, and I get it. Surely oppression make a wise man mad. I understand it's okay to be upset because we getting oppressed. It's okay. But a lot of our people try to blame these other nations on why we at the bottom. But when we gotta take accountability and just look in the mirror and be like, man, we in this situation because of us.
God. I was gonna say, like, we was just talking last Sabbath about how a lot of times we get mad at police brutality and racism and mistreatment, not knowing that it was in the clause. God said he was going to send nations against us that had a fear countenance. God said that they wasn't going to regard whether we were nice people, young or old. God said that our oppressors was going to hold themselves not guilty. He said that we would be scattered and be few in number and be counted as a minority in these places. God said that. God said we would be misrepresented. God said that we was going to have our kids taken from us in form of slavery and form of child defects. God said all these things. You could be mad at the systemic racism and Charlie Kirk and all these different things in the nations that you live in, but it's happening because of our doings. We got nobody to blame but ourselves. I know it sucks. I know in our flesh it feels bad. It makes us angry. It makes us pissed when some of us end up in jail unjustly, in prison unjustly. Some of us end up dead unjustly. It make us pissed. But the harsh reality is this is what God promised us if we broke his covenant. And so he got to be a just judge, and he has to give us all the parts of the curses.
Hey, and I wanted to add too, there's this video on Instagram right now surfacing around of this man who pulled out his gun. It's a Jake now. Jake pulled out his gun on an off-duty police officer, right? And the police officer gunned him down because he didn't know that he was off-duty police. He didn't know that he was strapped, so he pulled out his gun over road rage, man. I think they had got into a little fender bender, nothing serious, because when you look at the back of the car, it wasn't really no damage, but he got out and he took his pistol out and hit the off-duty police officer. Then he pointed it at him, and that's when the off-duty police officer took his gun out and just fired them shots. And then some other shots rang out, but the boy ended up dying. The dude ended up dying. And his family at first was outraged, right? And then on an interview, I think somebody that was close to him was like, man, you just heard him say that, man, this man just hit me and he got out of the car. Then you heard just shots rang out, right? But that was only because they didn't see the incident happen. And how this incident was seen is because the off-duty police officer had a dash cam on his car, and all of this took place right in front of his truck. So all the black people, our people was outraged, man. They was police brutality or, Black Lives Matter, stuff like that. But then when his lawyer had seen the video, he released a statement, to the news, and it was, on the news, and he was pretty much saying like, yeah, after reviewing the video, you can clearly see my client, Mr. So-and-so draw his weapon, hit the police officer. Then you can clearly see him point the weapon at the officer. Then you can clearly see the officer responded as he was trained to do in the event of a threat with necessary force. So it was pretty much a justifiable shooting. And in the background, all you see is his family. I don't know if that's his mom standing directly behind his lawyer, but at some point throughout the lawyer releasing that statement, you can just see them break down and start crying. And the reason being is because sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, knowing that, dang, we the ones that actually messed up. Like, we the ones that actually caused this and brought this upon ourselves, right? Or we so-and-so really brought this upon himself. And that's the case with a lot of our people. But again, like Brother Obadiah said, man, we have to learn how to take accountability and responsibility for our actions, because as a people, we fail to do that in a lot of situations. And we get mad at the wrong people for doing it. We get mad at the oppressor. We get mad at the Most High God. But we need to look in the mirror and only can get mad at ourselves, man, because a lot of the things that happen to our people are caused by our people, are influenced by our people.
Hey man, that's true. And you truly think about it, we wouldn't like these nations wouldn't even be able to blame these nations for oppressing us if we would have kept the covenant, because they wouldn't even be over us. So we just gotta take accountability, man, and just do better. Because blaming these nations ain't gonna get us out of this situation. The Most High gonna deal with them for sure. He gonna deal with them for what they did. They're not gonna get away for the stuff they did to us. But we need to focus on just asking the Lord for forgiveness. Asking the Lord to forgive our nation. Cause we messed up, man. We messed up big time. Just imagine you breaking a covenant that you made with God, that created you. Imagine how he felt. People think he's just a God and he's just a statue. No, the Most High got feelings. We made in his image. That's what we got. That's what we got feelings for. We get emotional. We get mad. We get happy. The Most High the same way. So we made him mad. So King, can you give me? I got a couple more. Can you give me Jeremiah 23 and verse 25 through 27? So yeah, man, the reason why did slavery even happen? I'm gonna say why slavery even happened to us. You know, because in the law, you know, I ain't gonna touch on that. But you got it, King. I don't know who turn it is.
I'll go Jeremiah chapter what?
23, 25 through 27.
23. Jeremiah 23, starting at verse 25, it says, I have heard what the prophet said. The prophecy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart, which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. The prophet that has a dream, let him tell a dream, and he that has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord.
So you had the prophets, the people that were supposed to be the teachers. They were telling lies. So the people that's supposed to be the mouthpiece and prophesy what the Lord told them to prophesy, they were prophesying what they wanted. They were prophesying out their own belly and they fleshly desires and telling the people lies, which is nothing new now. We're doing a lot of our people doing the same. A lot of these pastors doing the same thing now. Now I want to show something real quick before we close out. Can you go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1? I just want to read verse 1. I ain't gonna read all the blessings. You know, Lord willing, y'all can read that on y'all own. But if you read Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1 through 15 or 1 through 14, but you can get it, King.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So this was the if you, like I said, if you read Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1 all the way down to 14, those were the blessings that we would have received if we obeyed the covenant. But can you go to Deuteronomy 28 and 15? Because it's a flip side of the covenant.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So if we didn't obey the covenant, we was going to have curses or punishments put upon us. So King, can you get verse 16?
Gone. Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
So the Bible said part of the covenant or part of the punishment is we're going to be cursed in the city and cursed in the field. So this is why when you go to any city, a lot of times you will see what you would know as so-called black people in poverty, marching, Black Lives Matter, last hired, first fired. We are laughing stock in the cities. We're getting gunned down in the cities. And he also said, cursed should I be in the field. What people you know that was cursed in the fields, picking cotton, picking tobacco, getting whipped, getting sold. What people this is? It's us. That's slavery right there. When he say cursed shall you be in the field, we're gonna be cursed in the cotton fields. So King, can you give me Deuteronomy 28 and 41?
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
The Bible said we're gonna have sons and daughters, and we're not gonna be able to enjoy them, for they're gonna go into captivity or what you know as slavery. And then that happened throughout slavery. We had kids. We wasn't able to enjoy their first words or see them walk for the first time, because as soon as they came out the womb, they were sold to Johnson Plantation up in Florida and used all the way in Alabama. This is God said that we was gonna go through this. Can you give me Deuteronomy 28 and 40? You can go down to 48.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Can you read the verse 50?
Con. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Right. So the Bible said, man, he said a nation gonna come to us as swift as the eagle. And he said we're not gonna understand their tongue when they got there. We didn't understand what the white man was coming up. He was speaking English and Spanish. We didn't know what they was talking about. We didn't understand their tongue when they came and got us. And he said, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. They don't, even in slavery, they didn't care nothing about you old or young. You was in that cotton field. You was in there picking cotton. So these just to show you that our people knew this was going to happen to us for our disobedience. Slavery was on that side of things that was going to happen to us for disobedience. Can you give me Deuteronomy 28 and 68?
Con.
Matter of fact, yeah, get 68, yeah,
Con. Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So from the top, right, he said the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So can you hold that and give me Exodus 20 and 2? Because he said that we was going to get brought into Egypt again with ships. But that word Egypt is talking about something else in this verse.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Right. So the word Egypt is also known as bondage. So when you go back to verse 68, he said he's going to bring us into Egypt again with ships. He's referring to slavery or bondage again with ships. How did we get to America? How did we get around the four corners of the earth? By transportation of a ship. He say, by the way whereof I speak unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold. So he said, when you got off those slave ships, you was going to be sold. They're going to put you on that auction block. They're going to 25, 35, 45, 45, 45, 35, 45, 50, 55, 50, sold to the Johnson plantation. You was going to be sold when you got off those slave ships unto your enemies, not your friends, right? Not your best friend, not your old buddy, old pal. He said we was going to be sold into our enemies for bond men, which is slave man, and bond woman, which is a slave woman, and no man shall buy you or redeem you out of your situation. So this is the slave trade right here in the Bible as we speak. But why did this happen to us though? Because we disobeyed the covenant.
Yeah, why you think they call us young buck to this day? We got a young buck here, very strong, very durable, very healthy, good to breed with, right?
Yep.
Treating us like animals, man.
Yep.
They treat us like animals, and it was terrible, but it was because of us. It was because of what we did.
Yeah, they sold us like animals, man. They branded a lot of us, but like the brother said, all of the, and there's plenty more curses. I encourage y'all to read the whole Deuteronomy 28, man, so you can get a full understanding on what's going on, because this is the covenant summed up in Deuteronomy 28. You know, if you obey, you get this. If you disobey, this gonna come to you. So, you know, the reason why we got the flip side is because we broke the covenant that we made with our God. So what must we do to get back in his liking? Keep that covenant. Come back to that covenant that we broke and obey what he said, man. So all praise to the Most High. Lord willing, some people got edified and they got a better understanding on slavery, on why it happened. Because I used to think all the time when I was in school, how was the white man able to put us in slavery? Like, you had one white man on the plantation and you had like hundreds of slaves on the plantation. So you telling me nobody could, like, none of them could really just overcome him and come together and just overcome these slave owners, like, for good? And I used to always think about that. Like, how was he strong enough to bring us or even put us on a ship to take us somewhere? But it wasn't of their strength. It wasn't because the white man was stronger and he was smarter than us and able to do that. It was because we broke the covenant that we made with our God. We would have never broke that covenant. They would have never been able to put us in that situation. You know, so all praise to the Most High. I pray everybody have a blessed day, man. We are again the hopeful elect. We'll be back on here, Lord willing, Friday. The brother Azrael, he gonna come on here with a lesson, man. Y'all keep enduring. Y'all keep watching these times. We know Trump saying peace and safety. He's preaching that peace and safety right now, but we know what comes next after that. But yeah,
that's right.
That's right. Bring it out.
Sons of God.
Madness, maybe.
Con, man. Brother's goofy, man. But Con, all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, who we know as Yahweh Shai. We say until next time, Shalom.
12 tribes.
Worldwide.